Yeah. Oops. Sorry, wrong. 5:30. Oh, no. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Rosali. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Prabhu is joining, and I gave wrong time. I told 6:30. I gave my Bhakti Shastri time, which is 9 o'clock here. She's joining. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Prabhu is here. Sarvadrk Prabhu, please accept my respectful obeisances. Allah Shloshya Prabhupada, Allah to you. Namo Prabhu, make Prabhu for us. Hare Krishna, Hare Sarvadrk Prabhu, mute. Hare Krishna Prabhu, we can't see you or hear. You're on mute.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Please accept my respectful obeisances. Namo Prabhupada, Allah to you. Thank you very much, Prabhu, for your valuable time. You can start.
Yes, Prabhu. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nivishesha Shunyavadi Paschachade Shatarane Pancha Kopata Vishta Kripa Sindhu Bheva Patitanam Pavinebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Sorry to be late, Mataji's, Prabhu's, a little misunderstanding. I was thinking 6:30. Prabhuji was thinking 5:30, but here we are. So we're studying today. We should actually Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Shaiva Narotamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat Nashta Prayesha Bhaddeshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtake Krishne Swadamo Bhagate Dharma Gyana Divisaha Kalo Nashta Deshamesha Purano Kodunodita Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. This morning we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 7. We'll go through, and it's hundreds of important points are made. We'll try and sift through some of those and examine some of the most important points. So the storyline goes in the previous chapter, Prahlad is speaking transcendental knowledge to his classmates, and they inquire from him, where did you hear this knowledge? How did you meet Narada Muni? So he gives the story of how that Hiranyakashipu was absent from his abode, and the Devatas took advantage of the situation, and they attacked. Ultimately, they arrested Kayuda, Kayadu. I got it right. Kayadu, Prahlad's mother, and they were planning to wait until she delivered a child and then kill the child. Narada Muni appears on the scene, and he explains to the Devatas that you cannot kill this child because he's a great Mahabhagavat. He's a great devotee. The demigods did parikrama around, and they accepted the advice of Narada Muni. So there's interesting points in this exchange. First thing is, Krishna says in Gita, he told Arjuna, declare it boldly, Konteya Pratijanihi Name Bhakta Panashiti. You declare it boldly, Arjuna, that my devotee never perishes. Why did Krishna ask Arjuna to say? Because Krishna in the battle had to break his own word. So people would accept Arjuna's statement as authoritative. So he said, you declare it, Arjuna. My devotee never perishes. Krishna is always protecting his devotee. He told in Bhagavatam, Aham Bhakta Paradino Nasvatanta Ivadaja Saudavir Grishta Hridayam Bhaktar Bhakta Janapriya. That my devotee, the devotees are so dear to me, I am under their control. This is the affectionate relationship Lord has with his devotees. Devotee actually controls the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and there's many examples. This is a different class. Many examples in Mahabharata. Practically whole Mahabharata are examples of how much Krishna loves his devotees and cares for them, gives them precedence, favors them, and how much the devotees love Krishna. This loving reciprocation of bhakti is the main theme of Mahabharata. So he asked Arjuna, you declare boldly, my devotee never perishes. So here is another example how Narada comes to protect Prahlad Maharaj within the womb of his mother from the plan of the demons who are going to kill the baby as soon as he was delivered. And it's also interesting to note that the Devatas immediately accepted the authority of Narada Muni. This is what it means to be a Devata. Asura, he has his own idea. Ishwaraham aham bhogi sedoham balavansaki. I am the boss. I know better, don't tell me. They have no param, they have Asura parampara of arrogance. Dambo darba bimanascha, krodha paurushamevacha. Of arrogance, pride, conceit, independent thinking. But Devata, they immediately accepted Narada's advice. He said, this is a great, how could they know? Narada could know by his mystic power that the soul that had taken shelter within the womb of his mother was a great soul. But the Devatas, they had to accept the authority of Narada, which they did immediately because he's Narada Muni. He's a great sage. And a devotee, pious soul, accepts the authority of Shastra, accepts the authority of higher personalities. And that's one of the things that makes a devotee a devotee. He accepts authority. He doesn't challenge authority. He is not blind follower. He should question. Pariprashna is recommended, that one should ask have relevant inquiry. He should not be a blind follower, but he should accept authority coming in parampara. And Narada Muni, of course, is in our parampara. So Narada Muni gave Kayadu shelter at his ashram. Someone may say, what is this, young man? And he's giving shelter to a young girl. Prabhupada writes in the purport something interesting that we should take into consideration. He quotes Bhagavatam, Matra swashta duhityava navivakta asano bhavet palamanindriya gramo vidvamsam abhikarshati. That one should not sit in the same seat with one's mother, sister, or daughter. So someone may think, what kind of degraded person would have a lusty feeling for one's own mother, sister, or daughter? Oh, Shastra said, Vidvam Sam Apikash. Even the most learned person may fall into the influence of lust and the association with the body of a woman, even one's own relative. So someone may criticize how Narada Muni is giving shelter. Prabhupada points out, actually he wrote, I copied this. Prabhupada wrote, does this mean that Narada Muni transgressed the Vedic injunctions? Certainly he did not. Such injunctions are intended for mundane creatures, but Narada Muni is transcendental to mundane categories. And Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport also Haridas Thakur, who was associated with a prostitute in the dead of the night. She came to tempt him. Maya Devi herself came to tempt Haridas Thakur. So these are transcendental personalities, and one should not compare himself to such personalities, thinking that I am aloof, that I am in the same category as Haridas Thakur or Narada Muni, and I can associate indiscriminately with members of the opposite sex. Because the whole principle of Varnashram Dharma, one of the main principles, one of the main themes of Varnashram Dharma is to curb down the attraction between men and women, because it's complete illusion. But the body of a man is illusion for a woman, body of woman is illusion for a man. But from one point of view, they're exactly the same. If we take a man's liver and we put it next to a woman's liver, if we take a woman's kidney and we put it next to a man's kidney, is there a difference? It's a kidney, it's a liver. All the parts of the body, except with the exception of the parts of our body to generate next generation, it's exactly the same. It's flesh is flesh, bone is bone, tendon is tendon, artery is artery, blood is blood. Body is the same, but why this attraction? Only Maya. We're thinking, I will enjoy this. A man wants to enjoy a woman wants to enjoy a man. Pumsastaya mitani bhava metattoro hridiya grantamahu. Atagrihashita sutapta vita janasya mohoyam. Aham mameti. This simply increases life's illusion and creates hridiya granti, knot in the heart. We want our heart to become free. We want a knot in our heart for Krishna, to tie up Krishna very tightly in our heart. But to do that, we have to loosen this knot of illusion, thinking that I will derive pleasure in the body of the opposite sex. So Narada Muni, Haridas Thakur, completely transcendental persons, don't try to imitate great devotees. This is simply asking for trouble. So Narada Muni, in reciprocation for the service that Kayadu was rendering, gave transcendental knowledge. This is the reciprocation we get from the Supreme Personality of Godhead also. He says in Bhagavad Gita, Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddha yogam tam yenamam upayantite. If one renders continuous satatam yuktanam, not lazy, on again, off again, when I feel like it, bhakti, but unflinching bhakti, continuously engaged in bhakti. Satata yuktanam. How? With love. Bhajatam priti. Krishna doesn't need our service. Lakshmi sahasrasata sambarmasebhyamanam. He is being worshipped by hundreds and thousands of goddesses of fortune. Does he need our patram pushpam phalam toyam? No. Does he need our dupam deepam naivedyam? No. He doesn't need anything from us. But he's interested in our affection, our expression of love. So, patram pushpam toyam yome bhaktya parachati. If it's offered with devotion, Krishna says, I will accept it. What is he interested in? What does he really want? What does he expect from us? Is our love. He doesn't need a flower, a fruit. Billions, it's mango season in Mayapur. The trees are overburdened with mangoes. Does Krishna need a mango? He's the creator of mango. It's his energy. Everything belongs to him. Everything rests upon him as pearls are strung on a thread. What does he want from us? He wants our devotion. So Kayadu was serving Narada Muni, and his reciprocation was to give her transcendental knowledge. Now, the interesting thing about this, because the title of the chapter is, How did Prahlad Maharaj get transcendental knowledge? He heard Narada Muni within the womb of his mother. Third canto, fourth chapter, 3-4 Bhagavatam. explains that after 7 months, for those 2 months, the child within the womb is completely conscious, because the soul is conscious. The soul can hear, the soul can taste, he can smell, he can touch, he can feel. Soul is conscious. So the soul, the Atma within the womb, is conscious of sound vibration after 7 months. So Narad Muni was preaching to Kayadu, and Prahlad Maharaj was hearing those instructions within his womb. So how did Narada Muni and how did Prahlad become enlightened? By hearing Narada Muni even within the womb of his mother. And he came out, and the first thing he taught in the previous chapter, the first thing he taught, Komaramachara Pragyo Dharma Bhagavatam Dhaniha Durlabam Manasam Janmantadapyudruvamartadam. That from the very beginning of life, one should take up Bhagavat Dharma, Bhakti Yoga, devotional service. Because this body is very rarely, Durlabam Manasam Janma. It's very rare. Take it, human form of life. Consider, we forget how rare human form of life is. I'm looking into the backyard. There's trees, there's birds, there's ants, there's blades of grass, just even a square meter of earth. There's millions of living beings, every protozoan, every amoeba, every paramecium, every tiny little worm, insect, ant. They're souls just like us. They live, they reproduce, they die, they eat, they defend themselves. They have, wherever there's life, there's a soul. Soul is described in Bhagavad Gita, Sarvadrk. He's present everywhere. Where isn't there a soul? He's present everywhere. So we're one of those souls, but we are the infinitesimal minority of souls that get the opportunity of human form of life. So Durlabha Manasan Janma Tadapyu Dhruvam Artadam. It's a dhruvam. It is temporary. We can't stay in this body. It's subject to destruction. It's going to fall down dead and disappoint us. The body will leave us, the soul, the Atma. But it's Artadam, that it gives the greatest opportunity for progress in spiritual life, that we can utilize this human form of life to inquire. Atato Brahma Jigyasa, first aphorism of the Brahma Sutras, of 550 Brahma Sutras. First one says, now is the time to inquire about the nature of Brahman. Who am I? What is this world? Why am I here? Who is God? What is my relationship with God? These are the essential questions of human form of life. But who is asking them? Only the most fortunate persons. Only vastly fortunate persons have sufficient sukriti and punya, purva punya, to ask these questions in life. So Prahlad Maharaj was hearing this from in the womb. And we should also be cognizant of that. Matajis that are bearing children within their body should be very careful what kind of sound vibration they're exposing their children to. Are you watching TV? Are you hearing Bhagavatam? Are you chanting japa? Are you chanting some mundane some mundane song or something? So one has to get that understanding. Prabhupada explains in this verse. He quotes one verse: Vasudevi Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janayatyashu Vairagyam Jnana Chayada Haitakam. That by performing Bhagavat Dharma, serving Vasudeva, one acquires natural detachment and knowledge, vairagya and jnanam. Jnanam and vairagya are very helpful for the practice of bhakti, but they're not the cause of bhakti. Bhakti comes to us by association with devotees and by the performance of devotional service. By that we attract bhakti. Bhakti comes to us when we perform the activities of bhakti. Bhakti begets bhakti. The cause of bhakti is bhakti. The cause of bhakti isn't jnana. The cause of bhakti isn't vairagya. These are helpful in our progress in spiritual life. For example, if you want to eat a mango, what do? You get a knife and you peel the mango and you slice the mango flesh from the pit and you cut it in pieces. And you eat the mango, you don't eat the knife. The knife is instrumental in eating a mango, but you don't eat the knife. It's helpful to eating a mango. In the same way, jnana is very helpful. Jnana and vairagya is very helpful to our progress in spiritual life, but it is not the cause of bhakti. It's instrumental. It helps us make progress to understand what is Atma, what is Paramatma, what is Pradhan, what is Prakriti, what is this material world, how did I get here and how do I get out? So jnana is very helpful. And detachment from the objects of sense gratification is helpful. Why kama rupena kontaya dushparena anami? That lust destroys our affinity for jnana vijnanam nashanam, Bhagavad Gita says. It burns like fire and it destroys knowledge and realization. So we avoid these things and take to devotional service, Bhagavat Dharma. And this is what Prahlad Maharaj learned in the womb of his mother. And by hearing, he developed Shraddha, or faith. This is a very important principle to understand in our own devotional life, is that how do we develop faith? By hearing. Actually, we get 3 extraordinary benefits from hearing. And that includes reading, because when we read Srila Prabhupada's books, we're actually hearing his words. We sing in the morning, Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitete Kariya Aikya. That let my consciousness be purified, let my heart, my mind become one with the instructions of my Guru. So the words we read on the printed page of Srila Prabhupada's books are the actual words that Srila Prabhupada spoke. He didn't write them with pen and paper. He spoke these words. So when we read Prabhupada's books, we're actually hearing from Prabhupada. We're as good as a person sitting in a room hearing directly from the lotus mouth of Srila Prabhupada. So by hearing, we become knowledgeable. First installment of mercy that we receive by hearing, by reading, listening to lectures. We become knowledgeable. Who is Krishna? What is his pastime? What does he look like? What is his abode? Who are his friends? What does he eat? What does he wear? All knowledge in relationship with Krishna. If we don't have that, how Krishna says, Manmana bhava madbhakto, become my devotee, think of me. What is the inspiration to become a devotee if we have no information, knowledge about Krishna? What is the inspiration to the possibility of thinking of him if we don't have any knowledge about Krishna? What will we think of? We can't think of the void. We have to think of the personality of God and what is he doing? His Leela, his name, his pastimes, his qualities, his power, his mercy, his beauty, his associates, his abode. This is the value of knowledge of Krishna, first installment of mercy that comes to us by hearing. Second installment, by hearing, we purify our consciousness. Bhagavatam says, Pravishnakana Randrena Swanam Bhava Sururuham Dunoti Shamalam Krishna Salilasya Tasharat. By hearing, amazing thing happens. We understand God through our ear, not with our eye. The atheistic mentality, they challenge the devotees. If there is a God, you show him to me, prove his existence. I want to see him. They don't think, am I qualified to see him? Are we qualified? Can we just demand that the president of the United States comes to your living room? Or some important man just immediately, come, I want to see you, President Biden. Come, I want to, if you exist, I want to see you, prove your, can you demand him? We cannot. Is God your nokar, your mali, your driver? You can order him around, prove you exist. We have to be qualified to see him. But we can see him, but how is it possible? Karna Randrena, through our ear. We see God, we understand God through our ear, by hearing. And what is the result? Swanam Bhava Suroruham, that he takes his seat on the lotus flower of our loving relationship. Such beautiful poetry in Bhagavatam. He takes his seat on the lotus flower relationship of our loving feeling for him, in particular bhavas, 5 different bhavas, Shanta Dasya Sakyam Vatsalya Madhurya, 5 different relationships. He takes, that is manifest in our heart by hearing. But one thing has to happen. Shalilasya yata sharat. Our heart has to become clean. But this is the process for cleaning the heart, to hear. The cleaning process, the cleansing process takes place through our ear and cleanses the heart, makes it a proper sitting place for the Lord to sit down. So this second installment, our heart becomes pure. Bhagavatam also says, Shinvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shavana Kirtana Hridyantasto Abhadrani Vidunoti Suritsatam. Abhadrani means lust, greed, anger, fear, envy, malice, all negative, the little Hiranyakashipu and Ravana that lives in everyone's heart to some degree. That is removed by the process of hearing. Srimritam Swakata, Krishna is my kata. So this verse also means the third most important aspect and installment of mercy that comes to us by hearing. And that is that Krishna himself takes an interest in the devotee that's hearing. Oh, my devotee wants to know me. He wants to become close to me. He wants to think of me. Let me help him. If we take one step towards Krishna, he's taking 10 steps towards us. He's pulling us out of illusion. He's blessing us. Teshamevanukampartam aham jnana jamtama nasham yatma bhavasto jnana dipena basvati. He says, I, dwelling in your heart, destroy the darkness of illusion with the shining lamp of knowledge. And what is the qualification? We mentioned. Previous verse says, Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam privti purvakam. You worship me continuously, with enthusiasm, with love, then I destroy the darkness of ignorance with the shining lamp of knowledge. This is mercy. This is his reciprocation. This is Bhagavat Dharma. And this is what Narada Muni taught to Prahlad within the womb of his mother, Bhagavat Dharma. And he became completely convinced by hearing. He accepted Narada Muni as his guru. And this is the essential factor that gives us, that establishes, that is the foundation of our relationship with our guru, is to hear. This is an important consideration. Recently, everyone was very heartbroken and shocked to hear of the passing of His Holiness Sri Srimad Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. I was in Faridabad temple, one of the many temples he opened in Delhi area, giving Bhagavatam class. And I thought first half of the class, because we understood he was in precarious situation, first half of the class, give Bhagavatam class. Second half of the class was glorifying His Divine Grace, Gopal Krishna Maharaj. And we got news at 9:20. And at 9:15, we got news they're doing CPR. We all began to chant. At 9:20, we got news that he'd passed. Most heart-rending situation, devotees crying, howling, very, very unhappy situation. So that grief comes from our vapu consideration of our relationship with our guru. But vapu is insignificant compared to that which actually sustains our relationship with guru, which is Vani Seva. Srila Prabhupada said, I only met my spiritual master a half dozen times. He was a grihasta. He couldn't live in the ashram with his guru and get extensive association like that of his godbrothers. He said, I only met him a few times. But Prabhupada took the instructions of his spiritual master, his Vani, as his life and soul. Vyabhasayatmika buddhi ekeha kurunandana. Srila Prabhupada quotes Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur as saying, can you turn that switch on? As saying that, what is the purport of this verse? The purport of this verse is that a disciple should take the order of his spiritual master as his life and soul. Sri Srila Prabhupada only met Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur a few times, but he took those instructions as his life and soul. Same with His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj. Prabhupada said, distribute book, distribute book, distribute book. What did Gopal Krishna Maharaj do? His whole life, from his grihasta life, more than 50 years, distribute book, distribute book, distribute book. Prabhupada made him the head of the BBT. And practically our whole Indian yatra became what it is today because of the unprecedented determination of this devotee. We came from like a hopeless situation. No Indian devotees were joining. Just a handful of Indian devotees were joining. Bhakti Churu Maharaj, Navyogendra Maharaj, Lokanath Maharaj, But Gopal Krishna, just a few devotees were joining. But Prabhupada wanted this preaching to happen. He said, my spiritual master ordered me to preach in the West, and I did that. I initiated devotees, I opened temples, I translated and distribute books. But my personal interest is to see India become Krishna conscious. So these great devotees, these pioneers that came, these first Indian devotees, from that, now wherever you go, in Delhi, you run into devotees, in the bazaar, in the airport, wherever you go, you meet devotees, and 18 big temples come. But what is our relationship with such personalities? Not by Vapuseva. Maharaj had more than 40,000 initiated disciples. How much attention can he give each and every disciple? A few moments at the time of initiation? A phone call, an email maybe? Is that the basis of their relationship? That few precious moments of time spent together? That is not the basis, Vapuseva. The basis of our relationship with our Guru, the basis of Prabhupada's relationship with his spiritual master, the basis of our relationship, my relationship in particular with Srila Prabhupada, is based on Vani Seva, hearing Srila Prabhupada. And the basis of your relationship with your Guru, who will also pass. This is the law of material nature. No one can check it. So when our Guru passes this world, we grieve, we cry. It's a heart-rending situation. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Ramananda Roy, what is the most unbearable pain? Ramananda Roy answered, the most unbearable pain is separation from a Vaishnava. That pain will come to everyone's life unless you precede your gurus in death. If you die before your guru, you won't experience. Otherwise, you will also experience this. This is the nature of this world. So we embrace that pain because those tears wash away the illusion of this material world. Srila Prabhupada was surrounded by his devotees in the last moments, the last days and hours of his life. And in a very grave voice, he told us all, don't think this won't happen to you. This is the intrinsic nature of this material world. We all have to meet death. The last breath is scheduled and it will come to us. It's simply a matter of time before it comes. So with that in mind, we should examine what is it that maintains my spiritual life. It is Vani Seva, hearing from our Guru, following his instructions, preaching, is sustaining the mission that was so dear to him, ISKCON society. These are the things that give us impetus for spiritual advancement. These are the cause of our spiritual advancement, Guru Seva. So Prahlad accepted Narada Muni within his heart. Prabhupada writes in this purport, one must have full faith in the words of the spiritual master and similar faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This Atma Tattva, or spiritual knowledge, will be revealed within the core of a devotee's heart because of his having taken shelter of the lotus seat of a Mahajan, such as Prahlad Maharaj. What do we sing every day? Dibyagan Vide Prakashito. Atak Shri Krishna Namadi Nabhagat Grayam Indre Sevan Mukhi Hijevado Swayameva Spuratyada. Spurti, Prakash, is that knowledge is manifest within the core of our heart by the grace of Mahajan. So our Nishta, our Guru Nishta, is the foundation of our progress in spiritual life. Shastra says the same thing, of course. Yasya Devi Pura Bhakti Yata Devi Tata Guru Tasyaiti Katita Yarta Prakashante Mahatma. Again, Prakash. It's manifest, it's realized, experiential knowledge comes to us by the grace of Guru. So Guru Nishta, faith, unwavering faith, Nishta, in the instructions of our spiritual master is the foundation of our spiritual life. And we see that in our relationship with Srila Prabhupada. And we should see that in our relationship with our initiating Guru also. One should not be deviated by nonsense statements of unholy persons who are full of lust, greed, and envy. So Prahlad also wrote, because he begins, after explaining how he heard this knowledge in the womb of his mother, then he again begins to preach a continuation of the previous chapter. He wrote, quote, just as the fruits and flowers of a tree in due course of time undergo 6 changes: birth, existence, growth, transformation, dwindling, and then death, the material body, which is obtained by the spirit soul under different circumstances, undergoes similar changes. However, there are no such changes for the spirit soul. Prabhupada writes in the purport, this is a very important verse in understanding the difference between the spirit soul and the material body. This is the basic foundation of illusion, as our basic foundation for advancement in spiritual life is Guru Nishta, faith in our Guru, hearing from Guru. The basic principle of our illusion is the bodily conception of life. Excuse me, is the bodily conception of life. What is the Atma? Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Na jayate mayate va kadachan, nayam bhutta bhavita va nabuya, ajo nitya shashvato yam purano, nahanyate hanyamani sharire. That for the soul, there's neither birth nor death. Kadachit means at any time. We're not born and we don't die. We celebrate birthdays, okay. Social occasion, joyous occasion, family relationships with friends, love and prasadam and kirtan, wonderful thing. But from this absolute spiritual point of view, na jayate, we're not born. We enter into another vehicle. When that vehicle is fully manifest and leaves a mother's body, we call that birth. But the soul is never born, and he never dies. When the body wears out and becomes uninhabitable, we move on to the next life, the next body. But the soul has nothing to do. Asangahyara purusham, Shastra says. The soul is aloof, completely aloof from bodily changes. And the example is given here of a tree. The flowers and fruits come, but they're just changes, have nothing to do. That is, our body is also undergoing change. The material body is obtained under different circumstances, but there's no changes for the spirit soul. The tree doesn't change. The fruits, the flowers come, they're pollinated, little tiny granular fruits appear. They become bigger. They become riper, juicy, fruit full of juice and color. They fall from the tree and they rot, unless or someone eats them. It's undergoing change. But the soul does not change. The tree is still there. The tree is not changed. So the soul is likened to the tree in this example. The soul does not change. The body changes. And this is the essential understanding of our progress in spiritual life. What is that? Prabhupada wrote, I am this material body, and everything in relationship with this body is mine. So Prahlad Maharaj gave a nice example. He says, just like a geologist, he can examine different types of stone and understand where there is gold. Because gold is mined from different type of quartz, species of rock. And they know how to find whether the rock contains gold, and they know how to extract it. So in the same way, Kshetra Gyanam Yattaj Gyanam Matam Mama, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, 13th chapter. One should know what is Kshetra. Kshetragya. Kshetra means the field of activities. Kshetragya means the spirit soul, and it ultimately means the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is present, Sarvasya Chaham Vriddhi, who is present within our own heart. But this is Kshetra. Their body is a field of activities. It's distinct from the knower of the field. I know my mouth is moving, sound is coming from my voice, but it's different from me. I know I have a heart, it's squirting blood to every tiny little cell within my entire body. I know heart is beating, otherwise I can't stay in this body. But am I the heart? Am I the brain, the stomach, the liver, the kidney, the spleen, the intestines? What part of that is me? It's Kshetra, it's a field of activities. So the greatest illusion in life to think I am the field and I will be happy by satisfying the needs of my body and mind. This is the greatest illusion. Prahlad Maharaj wrote, there are 2 kinds of bodies for every individual soul. The gross body made of 5 gross elements and a subtle body made of 3 subtle elements. Within these bodies, however, is the spirit soul. One must find the soul by analysis, saying, this is not it, this is not it. Thus one must separate spirit from matter. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, he explains this very nicely. Bhumera panolo vayukam mano buddha evacha ahankara itiya me binna prakritir ashtara aparame tastanyam prakritim vidhi me param jiva bhuta mahabaho yedam taryate jagat. It says earth, water, fire, air, ether, gross material elements, 5 of them, and buddhi, mana, hankar, 3 subtle elements. This is the material, but above that, aparamita stanyam is the soul, the Atma, that is making all these material elements move, making buildings, making cars, making TVs, making mobile phones, making flat screen TVs, making the entire experience of material life as we see it. The soul interacting with the material elements is the cause of this whole material manifestation as we see it. But this soul is beyond all that. In the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, we read Indriyani paranyahur indriya paramana manasustu parobodhya yo buddhi paratastusa. That above this senses, indriyas, above the senses is the mind, is the body. Above the body, the mind. Above the mind, the intelligence. Above the intelligence is the soul proper. Thus, one knowing oneself to be transcendental to body, mind, and senses, one should control the lower self by the higher self and remain fixed in consciousness. This is the process of spiritual life. This is the process of realization, understanding what is this world and who am I. But try to find one person who understands that outside of devotional service. Impossible. They're simply like animals. They're animals walking on two legs with no tail. Dvipadapashu. They're like monkeys with no tail, walking on their hind legs. Because they have no Atma Tattva. They have no sense of self, no sense of self-awareness, no sense of ultimate destination in life. Who are you? Where are you going at the time of death? They don't even ask. This is the most important question. Nishvase nahi vishvasa kada bruto bhavishyati kirtaneyamato bhalyad haranamaiva kevalam. That we can't stay here. There's an urgency to understanding what is our situation in the material world. Therefore, from the very beginning of life, Prahlad Maharaj is saying the same thing. Komaramachara pragyo dharma bhagavataniha. From the very beginning of life, one should cultivate this understanding, detach oneself from matter. But Prahlad Maharaj goes on. Through polluted intelligence, one is subjected to the modes of nature. And thus one is conditioned by material nature. Like a dreaming state in which one falsely suffers material existence, which is due to ignorance, must be considered unwanted and temporary. What is the meaning of a dream? Dream is real, but the content of the dream is unreal. Prabhupada would give an example. He said, if you're lying in bed asleep and you're dreaming, I'm being chased by a tiger. Oh, tiger, tiger, tiger. And you're thrashing in bed. There's no tiger. The tiger is a dream. What is the solution to the tiger in the dream? To look for a gun, a tiger gun in your dream and shoot the tiger? Or is the solution to wake up? The solution to our dreaming material existence is to wake up to our spiritual reality, that I'm not this body, this home is not mine, I can't stay here, and the real purpose of life is to return home back to Godhead. If we don't get that, we don't get anything. Anyone who doesn't understand is simply an animal walking on 2 legs with no tail. So this is happening because Prahlad Maharaj says polluted intelligence. When our intelligence is polluted by and is subjected to the influence of the modes of material nature, we're dragged. Because intelligence is the only thing that controls our mind. The mind will suggest unlimited varieties of foolish ideas, sinful ideas, ridiculous ideas. But what keeps it in check? Intelligence. Why? Indriyani, that manasute para buddhir. Above the mind is the intelligence. Intelligence is a superior energy by which the mind is controlled. This is the difference between a materialistic person and a devotee. Yes, jasti bhakti bhagavati kinchana. Sarvai gunas tacha samasate sura. Harava bhaktasya kuto mahadguna manoritena asato dhavato bihi. A materialistic person, manoritena, he's dragged by his mind. Mind has overwhelmed his intelligence, and he's simply dragged to do whatever pleases him. What does Nike say? Just do it. Doesn't matter how sinful, how degraded, how inappropriate, just do it. If it feels good, just do it. Dragged by mind and senses, and the intelligence has become docile, weak, and impotent. One has to make intelligence strong to control the mind. Say, rascal mind. Saraswati Thakur, Bhakti Siddhanta, said in the morning one should beat one's mind with sticks. Rascal mind, demon mind. I'm the boss. You shut up. And at night, beat the mind with shoes again, 100 times. Rascal mind. Because how are we going birth after birth after birth? Because we're dragged by the mind and senses. Because intelligence has become weak. How do we strengthen intelligence? Again, by hearing, by realization, by bhakti, we get realization. Dibya Gyan Hriday Prakashito. Yasideva Parama Yoga. By hearing, Prakashante Mahatmana, we realize the truth. This is the difference between mundane religion and Krishna Bhakti. Krishna Bhakti means Raja Vidya, Raja Guyam, Pavitamidam Uttaman, Pratyaksha, Bhagamam Dhamyam, Susukam, Kartamabhyayam. This is the perfection of religion because it gives direct perception of the self. By realization, it is everlasting and joyfully performed. Again, Pratyaksha, Prakash. It's realized, it's tangible. We experience it as we progress in spiritual life. Otherwise, intelligence becomes polluted. We're dragged by our mind and senses, birth after birth after birth. So Srila Prahlad Maharaj gives a very important instruction. He's moving on to bhakti, directly bhakti, moving past jnana and what is body, what is mind, what is senses, what is this material world, jnana, vijnana. He's moving to bhakti. And he says something very, very important, which is the foundation of our spiritual life. Prahlad Maharaj wrote, one must accept, actually he spoke to his friends in the Asura Kula. One must accept the bona fide spiritual master and render service unto him with great devotion and faith. Whatever one has in one's possession should be offered to the spiritual master. And in the association of saintly persons and devotees, one should worship the Lord, hear the glories of the Lord with faith, glorify the transcendental qualities and activities of the Lord, always meditate on the Lord's lotus feet, and worship the deity of the Lord strictly according to the injunctions of the Shastra and Guru. Guru Pada Ashraya, the first principle of spiritual life, is to accept Guru. Guru is the rudder. The boat is this material body. The favorable winds are Vedas. So if we accept Veda, we can cross the ocean of material existence with this boat of human life. But with no rudder, we have no direction, and we're just being tossed wherever the wind blows us. But with rudder, with direction from Guru, we can cross the ocean of material existence. So Guru is vastly important. There's no spiritual life without Guru. I have a friend in Colorado, Denver, Colorado. He's a Nepali Brahmin. So he was telling me, he says, Sarva, I don't need a Guru. Krishna is my Guru. I have Bhagavad Gita. It says right here, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Krishna is teaching me directly. I don't need a Guru. Krishna is my Guru. I said, oh, Naranjan Prabhu. He's a nice guy. Naranjan Prabhu. If Krishna is your Guru, what does your Guru say in the 4th chapter? What is your Guru's instruction? What is he demanding of you? In the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, verse 34, Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadikshante te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. That if you want to know me, if you want to become tattvadarshi, a seer of the truth, there is a formula, Krishna's own formula for understanding the truth. First principle, pranipat, prakrishna rupena nipat, to completely surrender one's life for the service of one's spiritual master. This is the first principle of understanding God, to accept Guru and to surrender. Guru is not your pet. People say, I have a house, I have a car, I have a wife, a husband, a dog, a guru. He's not your property. He's your master. Kaktudan diloje janme janme. Prabhu say. He who has opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge is my Lord, birth after birth. He's our master. He's our Prabhu. He's not our servant. We're his servant. Therefore, we have to Prakrishna Rupena Nipat, completely surrender. This is the first principle to understand our relationship with God. Accept his representative, Guru. One should offer seva. One should give service to him, because what he teaches us is invaluable, priceless. One should give seva. And pariprashna, one should ask relevant inquiry, not blind faith. One should ask, how is it so? Please explain to me. Not challenging, but ask relevant inquiry. This is the formula. Prakrishna to nipat, pranipat, seva, and pariprashna. Service, surrender, and questions. And Prabhupada explains in the purport to this verse that by this combination, one becomes self-realized soul. He becomes qualified as Guru himself. By serving a bona fide spiritual master, surrendering, and by the Guru's blessing, one may be qualified to do the same thing himself. And this is Guru Parampara. So the whole foundation, again, the whole foundation of our spiritual life is based on a relationship with our spiritual master. Srila Prabhupada said you can test your relationship with God by analyzing what is your relationship with your Guru, because they're not different. Sakshadhari tvena samasta shashta ruptastata bhavyata eva kintu prabhoya priya eva tasya bande guru shri sharanarvindam. That kintu prabho, that he's Sakshadhari, but he's Supreme Personality of Sarvadrk Godhead, and he's engaging his sishyas and the service of the Lord. This is the process to understand God, the foundation of our spiritual life. We're running out of time here. I'm going to skip some things. If we do that, if we accept the instructions of Guru, if we serve him, what is the result? Prahlad Maharaj writes, one who is situated in devotional service is certainly the controller of his senses, and thus he is a liberated person. When such a liberated person, a pure devotee, hears of the transcendental qualities and activities of the Lord's incarnations, for the performance of various pastimes, his hair stands on end on his body, tears fall from his eyes, and in his spiritual realization, his voice falters. Sometimes he very openly dances, sometimes he sings loudly, and sometimes he cries. Thus, he expresses his transcendental jubilation. This is the result. If we follow the instructions of spiritual master, it's not a one-way street. We get realization, and this is the result, that bhakti manifests within our heart. And the symptom, and these are the symptoms of pure devotional service. Hair standing on end. You guys, the hair standing on end, voice faltering, tears falling from the eyes. Bhavishyati, we pray, when will this happen? It will happen if we follow the instructions of spiritual master. Prahlad Maharaj goes on to say, what another result of following the instructions of spiritual master. One's riches, beautiful wife and female friends, one's sons and daughters, one's residence, one's domestic animals like cows, elephants, and horses, one's treasury, economic development, and sense gratification. Indeed, even the lifetime in which one can enjoy all these material opulences are certainly temporary and flickering. Since the opportunity of human life is temporary, what benefit can these material opulences give a sensible man who has understood himself to be eternal? This is the reciprocation we get by engaging in devotional service, jnana and vairagya. We develop knowledge and detachment, which is the doorway through which we can pass into the realm of bhakti. If we're attached to all these things that are mentioned here, beautiful wife, riches, sons and daughters, home, animals, cows, elephants, treasury, if we're attached to that, where is there space in our consciousness for Krishna? We have to become free from these things. There has to come a day in our life, in every devotee's life, when he says, I'm just done with material life. I'm finished with material life. I give up. I stop endeavoring for all of these things. I willfully choose. I choose Krishna. I choose Goloka. I choose not to be born again in this material life. Every devotee has to make that determination sometime in his life. If we don't, what is the future? Mrityu sansara vartmini. We'd be born again in this material world. We can be born as many times as you want, but there's no guarantee what kind of life you'll get. Will you be a rickshawala? Will you be Ambani? Will you be a demigod? Will you be a worm? There's no guarantee in life. There's an urgency to become Krishna conscious in this lifetime and leave this world and go back to Godhead. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, this material world is like a latrine. You go to the latrine, you finish your business, and you leave. You don't hang out. Of course, in Western civilization, they have a TV in there and music and a heater and make it nice where they go to pass stool and hang out in the bathroom. But I'm talking latrine. Think Indian latrine, obnoxious smell, open pit. It's not a nice place, not somewhere one to stay. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is saying, this material world is like latrine. You do what you need to do there and you leave. You don't hang out. So this material world is like that. We do what we need to do, become Krishna conscious and leave, go back to God. And why stay in this material world? Prahlad Maharaj spoke, since this body itself is ultimately meant to become stool or earth, what is the meaning of the paraphernalia related to the body, such as wives, residences, wealth, children, relatives, servants, friends, kingdoms, treasuries, animals, and ministers? They are all temporary. What more can be said about this? All this paraphernalia is very near and dear as long as the body exists. As soon as the body is destroyed, all things related to the body are also finished. Therefore, actually, one has nothing to do with them. But because of ignorance, one accepts them as valuable. Compared to the ocean of eternal happiness, they are most insignificant. What is the use of such insignificant relationships for the eternal living being? So we also have to come to the stage where we see what is our life and what is the highest objective of life and how will we get there. We have to choose Krishna. And finally he says, my dear friends, O sons of the demons, you cannot please the Supreme Personality of Godhead by becoming perfect brahmanas, demigods, or great saints, or by becoming perfectly good in etiquette or vast learning. None of these qualifications can awaken the pleasure of the Lord, nor by charity, austerity, sacrifice, cleanliness, or vows can one satisfy the Lord. The Lord is pleased only if one has unflinching, unalloyed devotion to him. Without sincere devotional service, everything is simply a show. Bhagavat bhakti hinasya jati shastanta vastava apranasya dehasya mandadam loka ranjanam. It's stated in Shastra that everything, all of these things that are mentioned here, learning, charity, austerity, sacrifice, they're all good qualities. We should also have those good qualities, but it will not help us at the time of death. Bhagavat bhakti hinasya. If our life is devoid of bhakti, all these other things are simply decorations for a dead body. And they can't help us at the time of death. So Prahlad Maharaj is speaking very, very powerful statements to his classmates, the Asura Kulis, in the absence of their teachers, Shanda and Amarka. He's teaching them what he heard from Narada Muni. In the womb of his mother, this is a very extraordinary thing. In the womb of his mother, he became self-realized. He came out self-realized, and he taught these things. He took up the mission to preach the words of his guru. So we should also do the same thing. Prabhupada explained that Prahlad Maharaj, as soon as there's tiffin hour, the teachers go for tiffin hour, and Prahlad Maharaj is there with the students, and immediately he's preaching Krishna Bhakti. At the first opportunity he gets, he's preaching Krishna Bhakti. So he is our guru. Prahlad Maharaj is our guru. He's our acharya. We should follow in his footsteps. How to understand what is dharma? Not so easy. Dharma sitatam nihitam guhayam mahajano yena katasapanta. Dharma is guhayam. Not easy to understand. But how is it understood? We follow in the footsteps of great acharyas. We follow in the footsteps of our acharyas, our godbrothers, our godsisters, our gurus, our guru parampara. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was a preacher. He had 500 bhakti vrikshas under him that he was maintaining. Sometimes when he was so ill, he'd get on a horse to travel to the bhakti vrikshas to go out and preach. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur established 64 months in India, had thousands of disciples. Our Prabhupada, our acharyas in ISKCON, His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj, has 70,000 disciples. There's 1 million Bhakti Nam Hatha devotees just in West Bengal. Such an accomplishment. Are these things ordinary? These are extraordinary. Gopal Krishna Maharaj, just in Delhi NCR, 18 big, beautiful temples. We just opened a temple in Ludhiana. Just opened a temple in Rohini. Rajasthani Palace. This temple will dominate the religious life of the entire city of Rohini. Thousands and thousands, I was there. Thousands and thousands of people are coming just to see it. It's so beautiful. Panchatattva, mercy just flowing from Panchatattva altar. Radha Madhav, Lalita Vishaka, Ram Darbar, and such exquisite, beautiful expression of art and beauty in transcendence. This can change the face of human society. And it's our duty to follow in the footsteps of our acharyas, like Prahlad Maharaj, who said, Naivo duje paraduratya vaitaranyas tadvirya gayana mahambrinda magda cheta so cheta to vimukha cheta sa indiyartha maya sukayam baramudbhakto vimudan. It says, I have very good life. I become a devotee. I'll easily cross Vaitarani River and enter the kingdom of God. For my heart bleeds. I'm in great anxiety for those fools and rascals who are carrying the hard burden, the heavy burden of material life, life after life after life. My heart bleeds for them. Our heart should also bleed for the conditioned souls. And with that in mind, we should try and do something for Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan mission, whatever we're able to do, and make our life perfect. And at the end of life, go back to God. This is the whole gist of what Prahlad Maharaj is telling us. Accept Guru, make your foundation strong by Guru Bhakti, Guru Seva, Guru Nishta, and make progress in spiritual life. This is the whole point of human life. Why be human? Why be an animal? Why have a human life if you don't take up the process of Krishna Bhakti? Thank you very much for your kind attention. Again, sorry to be late, little misunderstanding with Prabhuji. Anyone has any comment or question?
Raise your hand or you're unmuted. Let me hold on. Yeah, you're unmuted. Anyone has any questions, comments, reflections? Looks like Sundaru Prabhu. Go ahead.
Yeah, Prabhuji, we have another class also. So so this is the same link we have to join, or that would be
no. This is a temple class.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's talking about Bhakti Shastri class from Mayapur Institute.
Good investment in time.
Okay, I think if no other questions, we'll conclude with quick announcements. Jagadish Singh Prabhu?
Yeah, I have to join the other class. And I very quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, please then Pram accept my humble obeisances.
I accept mine.
Like you mentioned that, like the nice point when Guru the passed away, or Guru, like the missing of the Guru, like a so deep separation. So what is the best way, just to my Guru also, His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, like this unbearable separations. But what is the best way, to reduce that? So, Prabhu, just can you give some tips?
Well, first thing, we should bear that pain, because this is the symptom of a soft heart. A devotee who is hard-hearted will not feel what you're feeling. This is very good to have soft heart, to feel separation. So this is bittersweet. It's bitter to experience that separation, but sweet knowing that I have a relationship with this person. But our relationship, I can't emphasize enough, is not based on Vapu. The pain is coming from our Vapu relationship. We'll not see him offering Mangalarti in Mayapur. or in Delhi, or wherever he went, he was on the altar, offering Mangalarti. Even his body became so weak, he can hardly use chamar, a fan, hardly hold the ghee wick. But still, he's there every morning, wherever he was around the world. Even he gets in at 2 o'clock in the morning, he's there 4:30 in the morning offering Mangalarti. We won't get to see him anymore. Our Vapu relationship with him is finished. But the substance of our relationship with Guru is Vani Seva. That is what takes us back to God, and that is what nourishes us. That was Prabhupada's relationship with Saraswati Thakur. It's my relationship and all my godbrothers and god sisters' relationship with Prabhupada. And it's your relationship with your Guru also. That's what's going to take us back. And this negative, what we perceive as negative feeling, this feeling of separation, it prepares the heart for meeting. Because the day will come, you'll meet your Guru again in Goloka. He is instructing, we say, Chakudhan Diloje, Janme Janme. He is our Lord, birth after birth. We go back to God, and He's there instructing you in devotional life. It's an eternal relationship. Prabhupada said, the spiritual master lives forever, and the disciple who follows him lives with him also. So we should take shelter in this, in Vani Seva, hearing from our Guru, following his instructions, pushing on the movement as he pushed it on himself. And in course of time, that feeling of grief will go away. But while it's there, it's bittersweet. It's also sweet to know that this person that I had very little association with has such powerful impact in my life. I experience that regularly. How much I never had a conversation with Prabhupada. He said one word to me, I said two to him. I walked into his room accidentally, and he said, yes. I said, Hare Krishna, and I closed the door. That is the sum and substance of my Vapu association with Prabhupada. I saw him 6 times in different temples. I sat in his class. I had no personal interaction with him. What is it that maintains me? Is my Vani association with Prabhupada, hearing from him. So sometimes I feel very unhappy that I was just a boy when I joined ISKCON. I had no association with Prabhupada. I should have pushed myself forward. I should have begged his mercy. But that's my life. That's what I got. And most of the disciples I know of my godbrothers who have tens of thousands of disciples had no substantial Vapu Seva, bodily association. What maintains them, what maintains me, what maintained Prabhupada was his Vani association with Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So if we focus on that, the reality, the substance of our spiritual life, our service to our Guru, hearing from Guru, following Guru, then this pain in our heart will subside over the course of time. But it will never go away. Chirodin tapita jivana. Narottam Das Thakur says, my heart burns day after day. Eternally, my heart will burn in separation from Srila Rupa Goswami. So it's not that we're, oh, okay, I'm good with that. He's gone, no problem. That won't happen. But we should take refuge in Vani Seva. And what we're talking about today in reference to His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj is equally applicable to every disciple on the face of the planet. That day will come when their Guru leaves this world and you will cry. That is the nature of this material world. So please take note, all other disciples, that day will come to you. And then you have to take shelter of Vani Seva, serving the mission of your Guru, hearing your Guru, following and follow his instructions. That is the substance of our spiritual life. I hope that's helpful to you, Prabhuji.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu, because still, the heart is burning and the very hard to stop the tears and all when we just go and remember his activities. So, yeah, it will take time, Prabhu.
Why stop the tears? Let the tears come. Those tears wash away our illusion of material world. Those are spiritual tears. Those are Krishna conscious tears. They're not, people cry for many things. Like a man cries for a woman cries for a man. They cry if they lose money, if they lose their car, they injure themselves, they injure their car, house burns down. People cry for many things. This is not that kind of tears. This is not that kind of crying. This is crying in separation of a Vaishnava. This is a special category of crying that will purify your heart. Don't try and stop. Allow the tears to flow. It's very therapeutic. and it washes our heart clean. So you must be a very nice devotee to have so much affection for your Guru, Prabhuji.
Yeah, thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you very much, Sarvadrk Prabhu. Thank you for your valuable time and your association and guidance.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you. It's a great blessing in my life. We're also Patitanam Pavinibhyo Vaishnavyo Namo. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Sarvadrk Prabhu ki jai. Thank you, Prabhu. We join today evening Sunday Feast program, our annual day of Sunday school. Devkinanda Prabhu and Govindranandani Mataji is inviting all of you to be present for today evening program. To join 5:30 onwards. And May 22nd, Narasimha Chaturdashi, very important festival. 6 to 9 p.m. as is a weekday. Wednesday we'll have Yajna. If you like to sponsor your Yajna for, please let us know. And I think $8 or $151. We'll post message. You can let us know. So those are the pickings. So Govindas is on govindasnj.com. You can place your orders. And we have also important speakers coming up in this month. So try to join those programs. I think Gaurang Darshan Prabhu is coming. Gaurang Prabhu is coming, and as well as
Prabhupada Maharaj is coming.
Yeah. And we're getting ready also for June, Atlantic City Radhayatra, a little far, but a lot of planning and a lot of things to plan so that we'll have our GBC, as well as Devamrita Swami Maharaj and other sannyasis coming for that event, June 29th. Please try to be there and try to help in any service possible in terms of the cooking arrangements, and so let us know if you like to serve in any way. Please contact one of us, and if you like to donate for Radhayatra also, please let us know. Those are the quick announcements. Anything else, Prabhu?
No.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Okay, we'll close today's session. Thank you very much for your association. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.